This is the solution video for the challenge that I call the Papa Bob's Pizza Order Entry System Challenge. I don't know what I called it. Something along those lines. And I gave you the instructions in a notepad file. And we'll just work through this together. Remember, only watch enough of this to get unstuck and then continue on your own and do as much as you can, because that's how you're going to learn, by struggling. But don't get frustrated. Watch enough of this to get unstuck and then move on. All right. So we're going to start off by creating a new database called Papa Bob's. We'll leave it in the default directory. Again, if I didn't specify something, just go ahead and use your imagination. There are no really wrong answers here, unless, we get to the end here and we don't have some of the answers to the questions. But for the most part, I've given you enough data to work with. And then we're going to use that diagram, that image that I pointed out, to start creating the structure. I'll open it up and I'll keep it kind of off screen so I can reference it, and I'll just assume that you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at. All right, so we're going to start off by creating the Papa Bob's database. Let me go ahead and open up the diagram file. I'm going to put this off the side of my screen a little bit so I can reference it. All right, and now let's open up SQL Server Management Studio. Whoops. All right, so here we go. We're going to create our Papa Bob's database. Right-click on the database folder in the Object Explorer, and we're going to call this Papa Bob's. Notice the capitalization. I'm going to leave all of the preset values the way they are, not change anything. Click OK. All right, and so now I'm going to expand Papa Bob's, right-click on tables, and we're going to start adding tables here. And typically what I do is do all the lookup tables first, so I'll probably start with order status, and then move on to sizes and crusts, and then we'll move on to like orders, customers, order items. So that's generally how I do it. It'll just... There's no particular reason why. These lookup tables are simply IDs with names. They could have a description as well. You'll see this frequently in database design. We don't want to store hard-coded magic strings in our database. I would prefer to use integer values. These will line up nicely in the .NET framework with enums, so I can create enumerations that represent order statuses and sizes and crusts, and those should line up one-to-one with the database structure. Okay, but we obviously not going to do that in this video series, but that's my rationale. All right, so okay, here we go. Order status ID, and since I didn't specify the data type for the IDs, you can go ahead and use integers. I think that's the easiest, but if you feel like using unique unique identifiers, you can do that as well. That's fine. I think for data entry's sake, you'll probably have an easier time when you get to the order entry part to just go this route. There is a way to dynamically, using functions in T-SQL, to create new GUIDs, new unique identifiers, but I haven't demonstrated how to do that. So we'll stick with integers because it's easy to type 1, 2, 3, 4 into a select or an insert statement, right? Okay. So let's go ahead, while we're here, make this order status ID column into an identity column, and then I'm going to right-click it and set it as the primary key, and then I'm going to create a name, and it looks like I made that an nvarchar50, so nvarchar50, not going to allow any nulls. Let's go ahead and save that, and we'll call this name order statuses, or did I just call it order status? Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, just order status, and click OK. Sometimes when the name of one of these lookup tables ends in an S, do you go statuses or status, stati? I don't know. What's the plural form of a status? I don't know. So we'll just leave it at order status this time. Let's make sure that it shows up, and it does. Okay, we'll close that down for now. Let's go ahead and add another table. This time we're going to create sizes. So we'll create the size ID. This will be a type int. It will not allow nulls. We're going to go down to the identity specification and turn on is identity, and then right-click and set primary key, and then we'll create the name. The name should be nvarchar50 and should not allow any nulls. That's good. Let's go ahead and save that into a table called sizes. All right, continuing on. Let's go ahead, right-click, new table. We're going to create one called crusts. So we're going to go crust ID int no nulls. Going to go down to identity specification, turn that on, right-click crust ID, set it as a primary key, add a name column. This will be n var char 50, no nulls, and let's go ahead and save that as our crust table. All right, if I can spell crusts, awesome. All right, so that should take care of the lookup tables that we need. Now let's move in, and I'm going to create a customer table. So let's start there. So new table, customer ID, int, no nulls, right click, set as primary key, and you notice I did this kind of in the opposite order, but that's fine. It'll work still. Now we're going to create phone number, and I did something a little bit different here. Just use this char 10 or car 10, character 10, because in the United States there's usually a 3-digit area code, 3-digit dash 7-digit, totaling 10-digit numbers. This would be an easy way to do a lookup without the parentheses or dashes or spaces. So that's my rationale, and it was just to change things up and use a different data type, frankly. Okay, so now that we have phone number, let's move on to the name, and here we'll go nvarchar 50, no nulls. Here we're going to go address, nvarchar 50, or oops, that's going to be 100. No nulls. Let's go city. This is nvarchar 50. No nulls. And here's state. And again, just to do something a little bit different, char 2. There's usually a 2-character state code in the United States. If you're watching this from Europe or from Canada or someplace else around the world, if you don't have the notion of a state, maybe you have a province or something along those lines, feel free to make up whatever works for you in your particular context. We're going to make that non-nullable as well. I think we've got everything we need for customers, so let's go ahead and save that work we've done. Call it customers and click OK. Let's move on, and we're going to create now the orders table. So we're going to create order ID as an integer, not allow any nulls. We're going to make this into a primary key. I'm going to go ahead and make this into the identity specification. All right, and then we're going to add a foreign key called customer ID. I think you know where I'm going with that. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Next up, we're going to go order total, which is going to be a small money. Whoops, small money, great. And that will be non-nullable. We'll use an order status ID so we can figure out what the current status of that order is. And we're going to add an order date as a small date time and won't allow any nulls there either. Okay, I think we got everything there we need for the moment. We'll come back to this table a little bit later when we want to create those foreign key relationships. We're going to add this to a table called orders, and the last table we'll need to create then, right click, we're going to create a new table called order items. So we're going to need an order item ID, int no null, right click, set primary key. We're going to go down to the identity specification, turn that on, make it an identity column. Now we're going to want to relate that to the order ID table. We'll come back to that a little bit later. We're going to need to relate this to the size. So do we want small, medium, large? And again, that's going to be an integer. We're going to add a crust ID, again, another integer lookup. And now we have a series of bit flags to indicate what should be on the pizza itself. So we'll do cheese, because some people, like Lois Lane, watching their weight, do not want to have cheese on their pizza. Now, the one thing that I did want to do here is add some defaults. By default, if it's not specified, I'll say pizzas have cheese on them, unless we choose not to put cheese on them. All right, and I know. Okay, I won't go into that story. I'll avoid a personal anecdote there. We'll move on. But as somebody born and bred in Chicago, a pizza without cheese is just bread with some tomato paste on it. But anyway, not everybody feels that way. Sausage bit. No nulls. I'm going to make the default value on sausage 0. We're going to go pepperoni bit. No nulls. And make the default 0. I'm going to go to bacon bit. No nulls. but it will not be a default. Onion, bit. And this is very repetitive, but again, when you're building databases, you're going to do a lot of repetitive stuff like this, so I just wanted to give you a taste of reality here. Bit 0. And then finally, mushrooms. Bit and 0. Okay. So, got that going for us. Let's go ahead and save that into an order items table. Great. All right, so now let's close everything down and let's refresh our tables. We still have to create the relationships, the formal primary foreign key relationships between our tables. So let's start on that process. There is really two tables that really need that, and that's orders and order items. Let's start with order items because it's probably the more difficult of the two. I'm going to drill down into order items, go with keys, and create a new foreign key. And here we're going to go to the tables and column specifications, and we'll start off at the top here with orders. So we'll make an order ID to order ID relationship. I'm going to add another one. This time we're going to create from sizes. So the size ID on the size table to the size ID in the order items table. And then we'll do one more time for crusts. So here we go. Let's look at crusts, and we'll choose a crust ID. And in the order items table, a crust ID. Great. And I think that's all we need to do with order items. So let's go ahead and hit close and then save, and it's going to pop up the little, hey, are you sure you want to do this because you're affecting a lot of tables? Yes, we're confident. And I'll shut that down. All right, and then let's go to the orders table. I'm going to right-click on keys, create a new foreign key, and the only thing that we're going to do here, you can see there's already one because of the relationship between order items and orders, but the one that we're going to do here is between customers, using the customer ID column, and the orders with the customer ID column as the foreign key. Close it, save it, and we're going to say yes, go ahead and do that. Now, I did not ask you to create a database diagram, but this is going to be one way that you can verify that what you've done is correct before you move on to the next step. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert this in for fun, and we get that little fun little error again. Let's see, can I create it? No, here. This is the easy way to fix this. Do you remember that? Let's shut down SQL Server Management Studio. Let's open her back up. Connect back in, go back to our database, Papa Bob's, we're going to right-click database diagram, create a new database diagram, and no errors. Hopefully you're not getting that error. I don't know why. It seems like after 25 years of SQL Server Management Studio that they would have fixed that one, but whatever. Let's go ahead and click Add to add all the tables, and click Close. Whoops, looks like I forgot one relationship. See, this is how this is helpful. I can look at this. That looks right. That looks right. But oops, there's no relationship between order and order status. So let's go ahead and save the diagram. Or actually, let's not save the diagram. We'll come back to that later. Let's go back to tables. Let's go back to orders. And hopefully you caught this before I did. And we're going to create a relationship between order status, the order status ID, and orders table and its order status ID. Click OK, click Close, click Save, click Yes, and it should work. Now I'm going to go back and try to create a new database diagram, try to add back all the tables, close that, and now it looks like we have the essentially, here, let me go down to zoom. Let's zoom it at 50% just so we can fit it in here. This is basically what I have in the diagram that I gave you. Things are a little off center. And obviously, if I wanted to, I'm going to have to change the table view to the standard view in order to get exactly what I had there before, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and just save that for fun. And I'll go ahead and leave the default name diagram 0 because that wasn't really part of this challenge. All right, so now we're back into, we finished number 1, we finished number 2, and now we're going to need to start inserting some values into our table. So I'm going to go ahead and copy these for reference sake. Open up a new query window. Make sure that I am pointed at Papa Bob's here. And then I'm going to create a multi-line comment, paste in my reference material, and then start inserting data. So insert crusts. And I'll just work with name. And values, and so here is where we'll go thin. In fact, I'll just go ahead and do this all in one line. Go ahead and execute that. Worked. Copy it, paste it. Thick. Thin and thick, I think, are the only two values. Yeah, okay. All right, so Control E. All right, so now let's select star from crusts. Just make sure we got it. Awesome. Let's comment all that out. How you doing so far? You able to get this far? Hopefully nothing tripped you up. All right, sizes is next. So insert sizes. And here again, all we're going to do is insert the name. And the values are going to be small, medium, and large. So let's do this. Whoa. Small. And medium and large, and I'm just going to run all 3 insert statements in one shot. Look at this. I'm going to save some time. Bam. 3, one row affected, and then let's go select star from sizes. And let's make sure we got that. That looks great. And next up, order statuses. Order statuses open and complete. It's easy enough, right? So let's do that. Insert order status. And we're going to go name. Values. And we'll do open and closed. And then we'll do a select star from order status. All in one shot. All right, so we inserted 2 rows and then did a select all in one execution, and it looks like that works. Awesome. Okay, so I think we've completed that step. Now let's take a look at our next step. Here we go. This is going to be a little trickier. Add the following customer and order information in the database. So let's copy all of this out, and I'm going to paste just one at a time here into the query window. So paste that in. I'll make some, there we go. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is Clark Kent. So how are we going to go about this? Well, we're going to need to start with a customer because an order depends on a customer. And then once we have an order, then we can create order items because order items depends on order. So let's start out with customers. So insert customers. And what are the customers? So we need a phone number. And we get IntelliSense, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that. Name. I'll come back to that in a minute. Address. City. And state. All right, you see how many of these things are reserved words? We're going to have to, I'm going to wrap around each of them, okay? And you can if you want to and see what happens. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. Now watch what I'm going to do. I've got my structure here. I know I'm going to need this 3 times in the future, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so the phone number for Clark Kent is going to be this, but I'm going to go ahead and strip out all of the formatting. We would do this in C# typically to kind of strip out all the extraneous characters other than the numerics. The name is going to be Clark Kent. Then 123 East Main Street, Metropolis, New York. And then what I want to do is do a select star from customers, just so I can get the ID, and I'll record that for future reference. So there we go, customer ID is 1, and I'll just create a little reference for myself here. Customer ID is 1. Let's go ahead, comment that out. Next up, we're going to create an order for Clark Kent. So insert orders, and here we're going to create customer ID, order total, order status ID, and the order date. All right. And values. And here again, I'm going to go ahead and do, this will be a numeric value, so I'll just do like 0 for the moment. Order total, this will be a 0 value. Order status ID will be something like 1 or 2, and then the order date will be a string. So, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and do December 2016. And then I think this was what? Clark ordered at what time of day here? 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. Let's see what happens when we do that. Something like that, and see if we can make that work. I'm going to copy this twice, though, to save myself some typing in the future. Put one under this statement and one under that statement. Come back to that. All right, let's see if this works. So now let's fill in the values here. I know Clark Kent, customer ID number is 1. His order total should be $12. And I don't need the .0. I'll just go ahead and get rid of it. What is this? The status. I don't remember what the order status was. I guess this would be 1 and 2, and he is an open order. So let's go ahead and leave that at 1. And then let's insert, and then select star from orders. And that looks just about right. Notice that it did convert the time from 7 p.m. to military time, 1900 hours. Okay, perfect. And everything else looks good, so let's go ahead and just do this. Order ID will also be 1 here. All right, next up. Now we need to create order items. He ordered 2 thin crust pizzas with cheese, sausage, and mushrooms at $12 each. Well, I guess the totals don't really match up. I didn't think of that. That should actually be $24. So let me do an update statement on this order real quick. So update orders, set order total equal to 24, where order ID equals 1. And now let's reselect this. And that looks right. So let's go ahead, now that we fixed that, and move on. Great. Okay, so then we need to do order items. So now we're going to create insert order items. And we'll go order ID. We're going to go size ID, crust ID, and then kind of depends what was on these pizzas again. Let's see, cheese, sausage, and mushrooms. I'll go cheese, sausage, and mushroom. And then I'll just leave everything else. I won't insert anything in the other columns like onion and bacon and pepperoni. Why not? Because I know those values will be defaulted to false. And we'll verify that when we do our selection here. So let's do values. Order ID will be 1. The size ID, what are these pizzas for Clark Kent? These are large, thin crust. So looks like large will be 3, thin crust will be 1. So large will be 3, thin crust will be 1. Cheese, we'll go ahead and say true, true, and true. I might need to go 1, 1, and 1 to see what happens. Okay, now let's select star from order items. All right, cheese, sausage. Cheese has a 1, sausage has a 1, mushroom has a 1. Great. And then, let's see. Let's do this one more time because he ordered 2 pizzas, right? 2 of the exact same pizzas. Didn't have to copy and paste it, but I decided to make it emphatic so you could see what I was doing. Whoops. Let's go ahead and execute that now. We had 2 with an order item of 1 and 2, but they're identical. All right. And they're all both associated with order ID number 1. Great. All right, so that is Clark Kent's order. Let's go on to Bruce Wayne. We've got our little template set up here now, at least, and this should make it a little bit easier. I want to do so much typing. Let me grab order items here, like so, because we're going to need that in a moment. Okay, so let's start off with customers. Looks like we need the phone number, and his phone number is 302-555-5676. The name is Bruce Wayne. His address is, let me just copy it, save some time, and Gotham and New York. Okay. And I'm going to assume that he is customer number 2. So when we come down here to the orders, I'm going to go customer 2. Looks like his order would be a total of $10. So let's go 10, like that. I'll leave the .0 in there just for fun, see what happens. And then we're looking at the order status ID. His order is also open. It was ordered today at 7:10 p.m. All right, so let's go ahead and insert that. I'm going to assume that his order ID was number 2, and that the size ID is, what has he got, a medium, so that's probably 2, and a crust ID, this is a thick crust, so that's probably a 2, right? Let's go ahead and look up here. Thick crust, probably 2. Now you're saying to yourself, wait a second, Bob, you're making a lot of guesses here. That's true, and there's obviously, we would want to use some sort of front end to enter these orders and not do it purely through SQL. And so just keep that in mind that this is kind of an artificial example just to get you typing code, typing T-SQL. Probably wouldn't be doing this. And there are other ways, more expressive ways to do these inserts where we could use the friendly name instead of just these ID values, but that's not as accurate, I guess you could say. So if I can use the IDs, I will. But typically, you're not going to massage the data quite like this. So we're looking at cheese, onions, and green peppers this time around. Cheese, onions, green pepper. And is that not the name? Onion is the name of the table. There you go. Okay. So order items. Let's go ahead and hit enter on that. And so now let's do something a little bit more interesting here. Select star from orders. Inner join order items OI on O dot order ID equals OI dot order ID. Inner join customer on customer C on O dot customer ID equals O dot C dot customer ID, and then where C dot customer ID is equal to 2. Now let's pick out C dot name C dot Let's go address. Let's go O dot order total, O dot, or OI. I don't know if we'll do the OI. Should we? Yeah, I guess we can. Let's just at least, well, we could grab the size off and everything. Let's just do this for now and see what we get. All right, so it looks like we were able to hit that, all the values we want to grab. Let's go OI dot, what? Cheese? Just to see if we got it or not. And that pizza did have cheese on it. Okay, great. And we could go on from there. Let's go ahead and have fun with this, right? Inner join. And this is not part of the assignment. This is just me making sure that everything looks correct. So let's go order status, OS on O dot order status ID equals OS dot order status ID. Here we're going to go OS dot name as order status, like that. It's open, great. Let's continue and go for broke here. Inner join, sizes, S on OI dot size ID equals S dot size ID, and then we'll go, let's push this down to the next line, S dot name as size. All right, let's see if that works. See how this SQL statement's kind of getting crazy now, isn't it? So it's a medium. See how this is turning out? And then let's go for broke here and go for the last one, which is the crust. Inner join crusts CR. I don't know. Can't use C because customers are already using C. On OI dot crust ID equals CR dot crust ID. And then let's go ahead and print off CR dot name as crust. And that'll do it. I mean, there's nothing else to print off at this point. All right, so a thick, medium, open, order total of 10. Is that what we had? Thick, medium, order item 10, status 7:10 p.m. Let's get the time in there too, right? So let's go O dot order date, because I want to see, make sure that the 10 minutes shows up correctly. And it does, 1910. Great. Okay. So a little short aside there, but let's move on to our last data entry, which is Lois Lane. All right. And so let's go ahead and insert her. I'm going to go ahead and let's get rid of all this just for the moment. Okay. And I think she's customer number, well, what's her phone number here? So it's going to be 201-555-9999. Name is going to be Lois Lane, 243 South First Avenue, and that's going to be also in Metropolis, New York. All right, so let's go ahead and insert that. I'm going to assume that she is customer number 3, ID 3. Her order total should be $8. So let's go ahead and do 8. And her status ID should be closed, so it's going to be 2. And then she ordered what time? 6:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. All right, and then let's go ahead and grab one of the order items from previously here. Now, here what we'll do is we're going to set cheese equal to false to make sure that we can override the default value of true. The only thing on this is going to be green peppers, right? So we'll just get rid of the onion here and go green pepper. And order ID, let's see what the order ID for her is. So select star from orders. And hers is order number 3. So let's make sure we get that correct. 3. What is she ordering? A small thin crust? What is small here? Small is going to be number 1, an ID of 1. Then the crust ID will be, I think the crust is going to be a 1 too. Thin crust, so that's going to be a 1. And then no cheese but green pepper. So that should work. Great. Now what if we take this massive query right here and we'll just copy it and paste it down here, and we'll just change up the customer ID to 3. That's the only thing we'll change. And then we'll look for Lois Lane's order. No cheese, order status closed, small thin crust at 6:30 in the evening. That looks right. Awesome. Okay, so there's a lot of work, but we got that complete. Now we're going to display all open orders for number 6. Let me comment all this out. And all open orders would be select star from orders, where order status equals open, order status ID equals open, like so. Now, what we could do a little more, we'll look a little friendlier, I guess. Select star from orders, O, inner join order status, OS, on O dot order status ID equals OS dot order status ID, where OS dot order or OS dot name equals closed, right? Let's see if that gives us back the same thing, or open rather. Was this supposed to be open? Yeah. And there we go. Okay. So we could do that either way. So that's the completion of number 5. Number 6, display all orders, sort the orders by the order date time. That's easy, right? Select star from orders, order by order date. And there we go. And we can include in like all of this stuff, right? In fact, let's just take this query, and this would not be quite correct. We want orders, not all the order items. So let's change up the query just a little bit here and get rid of everything related to the order items. So going to remove that, going to remove that, going to remove crusts and sizes, and get rid of that. And we're just going to get rid of that. But we're going to order by O dot order date. I think that would work. And let's see what we get here. All right, so 6:30, 7, and 7:10. We get all of our customers and their statuses and everything. Okay, see how cool that is? All right, now the next thing we've been assigned to do is how many pizzas were ordered today, and I said you're going to need to use the count function. So this is pretty simple. Once you understand how to use count, select count star from order items, and we can get a total count. Let's just go as number of pizzas. But that's not exactly the solution. I'm going to need to do one more thing here. We're going to need to go from order items OI, inner join orders O on OI dot order ID equals OI dot or O dot order ID. And where O dot order date is, and this is where times and dates get kind of tricky. So we're going to go December 2, 2016, and O dot order date is less than December 3, 2016. So that should get us between midnight and midnight. All right, let's see if that will work. Still should get 4. But if we had additional pizzas, it would only show the ones that were between that date range. Okay, and that's really the correct way to satisfy it, even though I didn't really make a big deal about it. Just between you and I, that's how we do it. And working with dates and getting the correct date range is kind of tricky sometimes. There are ways around that. We'll talk about that in the more advanced T-SQL course. All right, and what was the last thing we wanted to do here was find out the total gross sales for today. All right, so kind of the same thing as what we did here. I'm going to copy this and paste this down here. And here we're going to use sum, and we're going to give it the order total as gross sales, something like that, right? And let's see, I don't even need order items in this case. I can get rid of that. And that will give us today's, from orders O. All right, so take a look at that. This will give us the total of today's sales. Should be $42. Is that right? 24 for Clark Kent, 10 would put us at 34, and then 8 for Lois, so it'll be 42. So that seems right, $42. Okay, did you get all this? Hope you did. You can see it took me 41 minutes to do all this. I would imagine it took you an hour or two. You know, no offense or anything, but you're just getting started with this, and I was typing really fast. If it took you less than an hour, then I did my job. You did your job. You're in good shape. You're ready to move on. If it took you about an hour to 2 hours, that's normal. That's fine. If it took you more than 2 hours, you probably had to go back and research a bunch of stuff, right? Or you got interrupted while you were trying to work. Completely understandable. You might just want to review some of those things that got you stuck, maybe find some other resources online that'll help you really cement those ideas in your mind, and then come back to this in a day or two and redo this example one more time. Now that you've got it fresh in your mind, redo it. Delete the database, start over from scratch, redo it, and see if you can't do it a little bit quicker the next time. Okay? All right, so let's wrap this up, and we'll wrap up the entire course in the next video. We'll see you there. Thank you.